40k Dawn of War is perhaps the most well-known video game incarnation of the 40k universe, the sci-fi flavor side of Warhammer. There are now more recent contenders to be sure, while also being even older titles that hold venerable places in the hearts of fans all around. Relic's own contribution to the franchise took ambitious steps, chiefly would be its efforts to re-envision the mainstream RTS genre as a whole, building off what the developer did with a fantastic company of heroes. Dawn of War's range and melee systems, designed to mirror the tabletop, were innovative, providing a new tactical angle that hadn't really been seen in this genre before. The marriage of 40k's brutal carnal atmosphere into the visuals, even the gameplay itself, culminating in the sync kill system that sees one's dudes dispatching enemies in brutal and gritty fashion. Equally held high is an impeccable soundtrack. Somber, atmospheric, bombastic, fantastic. All to bar none voice acting.
The true power is here. I understand more than you could possibly know. I am power.
What doesn't get its due is Dawn of War's story. Seen at large as mostly just serviceable. On the surface, it's straightforward enough. It certainly gets the job done, with a few memorable moments to it. For those who look deeper, you will find Relic's endeavors created, well, a master-crafted narrative, all of which pretty much went over my head. It was only when I was watching everything back-to-back that I began noticing the subtle character interactions and developments, details foreshadowing future events, the many nuances, and the greater story of the ultimate grimdark revelation at the end that makes all of what has transpired up until then a cosmic tragedy. I'd say Dawn of War's story is really smart. It's slow burning initially, and a bit of prior 40k knowledge helps flesh things out here and there, though it's not necessary. The plot's pretty thoroughly self-contained. I'd like to take you on a deep dive to see what I have seen. Dawn of War starts out concisely enough. Orcs are invading, Imperial Guard are fighting, Space Marines arrive to save the day. It's savage and visceral. Already, we get a look into how this world operates. Initiates to 40k get a nice quick taste of what is to come, while those already familiar with the setting, I should say, were not disappointed. As the Guard holds the line against the rampage of orcs, we're introduced to Colonel Crassus Braun, who demonstrates what happens to those who fail in their duty to the Emperor.
We can't hold! Run for your lives!
Cowards! You will fight, or you will die.
This world is cruel and unfair. Enter Gabriel Angelos. The story wastes no time in getting across what the captain is all about. No nonsense, to the point.
Thank you, my lord.
I am not here for your thanks.
A seemingly strong, self-assured man, befitting the title of company captain. Gabriel's close friend and direct foil, Isidore Achios, brother librarian of the Third, comes afield.
I am honored to be in the presence of a librarian.
Braum meets with him, offering praise, yet his true intentions shine through.
You have something you wish to say. Say it, Colonel.
How did you know?
Even without my psychic gifts, it is obvious. Speak.
Is it true your company eradicated a heresy on the planet of Cyrene recently? An exterminatus, down to the planet's last man, woman, and child.
This is the first of many mentions of Cyrene, a world that had recently received the Inquisition's favorite hobby, exterminatus. Isidore informs the Colonel that it's best not to press the Captain about it. This is a bit of an exposition dump, though in world, if you're being saved by people who make it a habit of blowing up the world they're on, it tends to make people a little nervous and looking for assurances. It does quickly let the uninitiated know what's involved and how high the stakes have just got. All in all, this exposition was delivered fairly naturally. The Bloodravens next move to head off the Orc offensive with a preemptive strike. The contrast between Gabriel and Angelos, as is their relationship with one another, is quickly established. Isidore displays a more direct nature with resolving issues.
We have the Imperial Guard. Why not send them into battle instead of treating them like glorified shepherds? If we meet the Orcs in force, they cannot possibly stand before us.
He also displays a particular viewpoint, especially concerning how he sees the Guard, more akin to tools to be used. A mentality we will see he nurtures more so.
What are the Imperial Guard for if not to die for their Emperor? At the very least, we should retain a regiment to remain at our core. We have little support this far out. We would not want to be remembered for our carelessness.
We, old friend? Or me?
We are brothers, Gabriel. You know better than to ask that question. I know what this is about. There was nothing you could have done to save Cyrene.
Do not mention that place again, Isidore. Cyrene was my homeworld. My responsibility.
Close as they are, a bit of a divide between Gabriel and Isidore becomes evident. It's also shown that to Gabriel, even his peer and close friend are not beyond rebuke over the matter of Cyrene. The Orcs are sweeping advanced without incident. A company scout reports in to Isidore, demanding to see the captain. He's in the middle of giving Big E his venerations, so Achios takes over. While he's assessing the devastated field, a mysterious presence intrudes.
I will suffer no trespass.
Orcs being orcs simply took the loss as a sign for a good fight, so they just get some more boys together to clap back. Lots of boys. The Space Marines are forced to withdraw to the defense of Magnabana. Under constant shelling and pressure, Gabriel remains cold as stone, formulating the needed actions with which to respond to the changing situation. The captain sees it best to dig in and hold their ground for the meanwhile.
We have to maximize our defense in one location to assure victory.
Do not mistake the Orcs' simple manner for stupidity. They are far more cunning than they may seem. Now go.
Isidore makes his displeasure fully known.
Yes, my lord. I do not agree with this course of action. Why are we sitting back waiting for the Orcs to strike? We should attack! Surely it is better than doing nothing.
Gabriel chides him, then invokes the spiritual liege.
It is written in the Codex Astartes that this situation calls for a defensive action.
Of course. You are right.
Impassionated as Isidore was just right there, he meekly backs right down. The Emperor's Space Marines persevere, breaking through the Orcs' lines to destroy their operations, circling around to destroy what's left. Seeing the fight is over, Nob takes control of what's left of the Orcs. It's a good world-building scene that shows how the Orcs are.
We's not gonna stay and fight. I's the biggest orc here, which means I's the leader of yous lousy bunch of gits.
The building Orc Wa rallies around War Boss Orcamungus, who is not alone.
Everything is ready, boss. Them humans is in for a good stomping. This is gonna be the best fight of their miserable lives.
Just make sure it's the last fight of their lives.
It's here that we really start to see another strong element to Dawn of War. Cinematography. That up-front close view of Orcamungus is eye-catching, establishing his presence, then to the Chaos Sorcerer, large at the forefront, while the Chaos Lord, who's supposed to be the true leader of any Chaos warband, is small in the background. When you first saw this, whom did you believe was really running the show here? These are all in-game cutscenes, so they use the various models themselves. They're constrained by the engine. Still, I say they made good use with the limited options they have, with smart placements, positioning, and reveal shots. These are all consistently used to great effect. It's revealed that the Orcs' invasion of Tartarus was due to the machinations of the Chaos Space Marines, servants of the ruinous powers of Chaos. The Orc and Chaos alliance is more of an arrangement, one that's shaky at best. The powers present are Sindri Mir, a sorcerer of Chaos, and Lord Bale, a Chaos Lord leading an Alpha Legion warband. Sindri's and Bale's own interactions are cordial enough, though it's clear that throughout Bale's discourse, Sindri is already playing the handler, assuaging the Chaos Lord so as not to ruin their plans. Further revealed is the Chaos Space Marines aren't here for a Chaos-style slaughter for slaughter's sake, not even an effort to spread heresy to stick it to the Corpse Emperor. Sindri and Bale are here for a purpose, with the Orcs seemingly only there to run interference.
As long as we provide them with enemies to satiate their battle lust. If we intimidated them into doing our bidding, showed them our strength, they would take pause before betraying us. You cannot intimidate something that knows no fear. Trouble yourself no longer with the Orcs. We will have what we came for and be gone before they finish with the Imperials and turn on us.
This doesn't last for much longer. Throwing all that he had, including appropriated lemon russes, and even a squiggith, against the Bloodravens that really had rather limited heavy support at the time, Orcamungus falls, and the Orc-Wa follows with him. For now. In spite of Sindri's efforts, going so far as to personally dispose of 2 snooping scouts, the Bloodravens catch the scent of chaos.
But we saw a dropship leave the area. Captain, she bore the 8-pointed star.
The mark of the ruinous powers of Chaos.
The forces of Chaos? Here? Now?
Gabriel discusses the matter with Isidore and confidant, Sergeant Mateo. And this happens.
Isidore, do you sense anything?
No, I have sensed nothing.
Isidore is lying. He didn't just sense its presence, it walked right up to his face. Isidore goes on to intuit that what they know so far suggests the presence of a sorcerer whom would be able to hide Chaos's presence. Not necessarily a lie, not the whole truth either. He kept the Chaos presence to himself until it could no longer be hidden, then speaks a half-truth about what he knows when pressed. His contempt of Sindri when the Chaos Sorcerer entreaties with him is evident. Still, it's not good that he was quiet about this. Why he did so is yet known. Fortuitously, after this questionable action, a new player takes to the field.
If Chaos taints this world, then that explains his presence. We must share with him what we discovered. Inquisitor Toth, welcome to Tartarus.
Thank you, Captain. But we have little time for courtesies. You and your men must leave Tartarus. Now.
The friction between the two parties is set. The Orc invasion remains a danger. However, Gabriel sees the possibility of a Chaos incursion, the larger of 2 threats, opting to pursue after them. The Bloodravens set out to find Chaos's trail, with a good Inquisitor coming along. Gabriel and Mordecai discuss the matter candidly, as faithful servants of the Emperor. The captain shares the possibility of chaos on Imperial grounds. Toth gives a strange, cannot confirm nor deny response. Makes a reasonable point that, even if they are here, why should they waste lives fighting them when their enemies can dispose of each other for them, and be trapped by a coming warp storm which has appeared out of nowhere, as is often the case. Gabriel disagrees. Once apparent he's getting nowhere with the captain, Toth wastes no time in swinging his inquisitorial hammer around.
Colonel Brom, the captain and I must attend to matters of faith. If you would leave us, please.
But surely this involves me as a...
Forgive me for not being clear on the matter. I said please, when in fact I meant now.
He gets down to brass tacks, going straight to the matter at hand. Cyrene was not only Gabriel's home, it was his own decision to go inquisitorial on it. Gabriel can't tell an Inquisitor off, so he has to listen to what he says, which is that Toth cautions that, while Gabriel's faith is not in question, the weight of his prior actions may be driving him towards certain directions. Indeed, in the captain's personal logs, Gabriel admits to carrying a measure of guilt.
I must admit that I find his presence unwelcome so soon after the events on my homeworld of Cyrene. Inquisitors have a way of inflaming a guilty conscience, and that I do not need right now.
Toth advises to keep his crusades in the name of the Emperor, not for himself. The implication being that Gabriel just might be acting overzealously, in a personal vendetta, or perhaps even more, against the forces of chaos. Matil, if peeved at the Inquisitor, wonders if his advice to leave may not be for the best. Gabriel adamantly refutes this, with fair reasoning, sees the sudden warp storm from nowhere as odd, and that no matter the situation they are in, they have a mantle of responsibility to carry out. The mystery of Tartarus soon grows, for the Blood Ravens are watched from the shadows. The Eldar have taken to the fields of Tartarus in force, waylaying the Space Marines at every opportunity as they advance. Whatever the now copyrightedly named elves are here for, it's important enough for them to directly intervene. By the power of...
Rhinos! Rhinos! Our enemies hide in metal boxes, the cowards! The fools!
The Blood Ravens overcome the Xenos' ambush, arriving at the leftovers of a Chaos ritual. Gabriel drops a pithy remark at the Inquisitor's expense, who, in spite of following so far, is now curiously absent. With confirmation that not only is Chaos indeed present, they're in pursuit of something particular. Gabriel instructs Isidore to study enough to find out what they need, and destroy the rest.
Brother Isidore, you have an hour to study the altar. Document everything as is our tradition. Then burn it, lest its taint infect us all.
Isidore has another disagreement with the captain. Gabriel sets him straight.
Learn what? Chaos does not teach. It misleads and it betrays. There is nothing to learn here, save for our next course.
Remember, kids, don't do chaos.
These transports have been damaged somehow. Make the repairs, and be quick.
Well, Brother Isidore, what betrayal have you wrought?
Isidore now demonstrates that he is willing to undermine his own chapter in his pursuits. Of course, Sindri's around to capitalize on this. We're shown that Isidore's mentality is more of fighting fire with fire. That whatever power Chaos seeks can be used against itself. His actions thus far are, to him, were with good cause, justified, invoking the name of the Emperor and the good of his brothers. Sindri deduces, telling Isidore outright it's not just about that. There's a measure of pride, self-worth even, on the line for him. The sorcerer goads the librarian into coming after him, which Isidore obliges.
Have no fear, sorcerer. I will be there.
Are you certain?
Yes, the path to Mount Korath. This is where the altar said we must go. Why? Do you question my findings?
I do not question your abilities, brother librarian, but I do question their tactical sense. That mountain pass is the perfect location for an ambush.
Listen to the distrust in his voice. He probably calls you mutant behind your back. But he fears your divinity, your power. You must put the child at ease.
A lot just played out here. We're starting to get in deep. We've just had a bit of insight into Isidore's mindset about proving his value, be it to himself or the company.
Why? Do you question my findings?
It wasn't any suspect of duplicity that Isidore feared the captain might have cut on to. It was the apparent questioning of his abilities Isidore singled out. Then there's this.
I do not question your abilities, brother librarian.
Bit of lore here. A librarian is a psyker, a psychically gifted individual within a Space Marine chapter. They're appreciated by some, though not all, and any psyker's presence isn't welcomed in all circles, as their powers are drawn from the warp, from chaos. They're old friends, close brothers. Gabriel never referred to Isidore in such a manner before. What would be a more formal interaction between the two is now one with new meaning. Isidore hasn't exactly had sound military maneuvers since they've arrived. Gabe's intent was that he's the lore expert while he himself the tactician. Isidore doesn't take it that way, viewing it more a signaling out of his psycho nature, close to the warp itself, which the good captain has been campaigning so fervently against. Sindri hones in on this, insinuating Gabriel did indeed intend more with the mutant comment. Not only a derogatory term, a condemnation. It goes on to play Isidore's ego, that the captain was both disdainful yet jealous of him. Gabriel does see something amiss, attempts a hasty mending of things, but he just goes right on and pulls an absolute Rogel Dorn at the end.
Stay alert and follow my lead. I want no mistakes.
Agreed.
A poor choice of words from a Space Marine captain, operating as if the weight of the whole Imperium rested on his shoulders, and a scheming, plotting Chaos Sorcerer has wedged a division between the two, even if Gabriel hasn't noticed it yet. Isidore has. More of this has actually happened already. Before, we saw a scout reporting to Isidore, a high-ranking Space Marine, the third captain's right hand, almost effectively second in command. Even so, the scout sought the captain out over him, even though he's just as legitimate an officer to report to. Isidore himself makes a coy comment about his powers.
Even without my psychic gifts, it is obvious.
Heck, he arrives by himself without any battle brothers at his side. This all implies a measure of distance between Isidore and the rest of the company. Now, during this interaction, Sindri refers to Isidore's true nature as one of divinity, a move that plays on both his pride and sense of value. Isidore doesn't refute this. Anything he says, actually, seeming to even accept the sorcerer's assessment of the captain's discontent with his friend. Indeed, he actually heeds Sindri's words to get Gabriel to press on, knowing he's leading his fellows forwards at the behest of an agent of chaos. Turns out, Sindri led them into a trap, pitting the Blood Ravens against the Eldar once more. Rotier Colonel Brahm has the Space Marines back as they advance up the mountains.
The combat that is occurring here will likely attract the Orc forces nearby. We cannot afford their interference.
I understand. You can count on the Imperial Guard to hold this pass. No Orcs will get by us.
Thank the Emperor you're here. I think Command forgot about us.
How long have you been here?
About a week.
You held this position for a week? By yourselves?
Yes, my lord. We've seen some pretty freaky stuff, too. Come on. We'll show you.
Eldar, the enemy has the witches.
Well, that was real worth it. Sindri's nowhere to be found, and instead, a hateful monument to the ruinous powers is discovered. The captain eagerly sets Isidore upon it, this time permitting him several hours to study it. While he's at that, the Thug-Quisitor graces Gabe with his presence once again. The two have a private heart-to-heart this time. As before, Toth attempts to dissuade Gabriel from delving any further. The captain affirms his actions. Things begin to get heated. Toth backs off a step, redirects, concedes that the Blood Ravens are Gabriel's to command, yet his involving the Colonel's guard was another matter. Understandable, as they are needed elsewhere, not to be squandered. With that, things get personal.
I do not presume to question your decisions concerning the Blood Ravens. But when it comes to employing the Colonel's Imperial Guard in your quest...
My quest? Yet again, you accuse me of pursuing my personal interests. It is my duty, and yours, to expunge any scent of heresy or chaos.
You overstep yourself.
As do you, Inquisitor. It is not the Colonel's Imperial Guard. Their lives belong to the Emperor. It is by his mandate and will that I use the Imperial Guard against the forces of disorder and elevate them in the glory of holy battle.
We have the Imperial Guard. Why not send them into battle instead of treating them like glorified shepherds? What are the Imperial Guard for if not to die for their Emperor?
Gabriel makes a sound retort, yet what he deems a chink in Toth's position sees him pressing the matter too far. The captain makes some interesting statements, going so far as to echo Isidor's earlier sentiments, now that they serve him. Gabriel dresses it up more tactfully than Isidore does. The end result's the same. Now, it's not that they're wrong in what they're saying, it's why they're saying it, what it's indicative of. Justification. They've, all of them, a detached way to see the grimdark world they live in. It can't afford any attachments, any weaknesses. A world where we sacrifice the few to save the many, regularly. It's a fine line of the ends justify the means, and all of them, including the Inquisitor, rely on their precepts such as belief and duty to know where that line lies, keep themselves from going too far. Now, Isidore's already functioning with a skewed moral compass. His pride's leading him down a selfish path, right as he may see it as. Gabriel's guilt's liable to do the same with him. Now, he himself isn't at risk of a fall to chaos, but that's hardly the only danger when dealing with the ruinous powers. How many lives will his chosen course cost? Much as he fights against it, that doesn't mean he can't serve it all the same. This was all likely a feint on the Inquisitor's part, to gauge the captain's reaction. Debating the matter any further, Toth sees it's pointless, so he brings his inquisitorial hammer down once more, takes complete control of Tartarus, and tells the captain off.
From this point on, you and your men are on your own.
The Chaos Marker directed them towards a location where the city of St. Louvre-Mar now stands. The Eldar have already arrived. In preparation for the coming battle, they name an exarch the Young King, a ritual to bring forth the Avatar of Cain, a mighty manifestation of their bloody-handed god of war, Kala Mencha Cain. Lore accuracy-wise, this is, however, pretty much akin to them saying GG, so they're doomed. Off a ways, Bell and Sindri arrive, too late to secure the key themselves. Sindri apparently the one to hold them up. The duo's own fraying relations becoming evident.
Have I led you astray thus far? No. But if you fail me in this, yes, then my suffering will be great. Just be ready to move when I instruct.
Isidore makes preparations of his own.
Just a bit longer, and then the key will be mine.
As with any codex, even their own, the Eldar's avatar gets ruffle stomped. Gabe and Izzy move to claim the key. The Farseer Maka remains to beseech them see reason, bury the key once more.
Heed me. Bury that which lies beneath my feet. It will undo us all.
At Sindri's prodding, Isidore presses Gabriel to just kill her. Gabriel is uncertain, viewing what knowledge she has as valuable.
What could she offer but lies? Do not trust her, Gabriel.
One can almost hear Gabe going, yeah, real rich coming from you, mate.
The key! No! Damn you!
Hey, watch the language. She goes on to warn about the dangers of the key in typical flowery, whimsy-timsy Eldar fashion. She drops that Toth knows more than what he's telling them, that the Inquisitor is not only aware of the key, but what it does, and what the Chaos Marines are truly after.
Tell me what this key does.
You do not know. Your Inquisitor keeps you on a short leash. He knows. Ask him.
How dare you speak ill of the Emperor's loyal subject?
Gabriel reproaches the witch for insinuating such slander upon a loyal subject of the Emperor.
So the good Inquisitor senses no chaos here. How fortunate for the Imperium that such keen-eyed eagles stand vigil over her gates.
Do so as he may, he'll be damned if he lets some prissy elf do it. A squad of warp spiders jump in on them. I had like 3 predators, 24 tacticals, and an assault marine squad up here, just a few seconds ago. I don't know what happened to them, but I feel this ambush could have been avoided, you know? Doesn't really matter, Maka holds them. Contemptuous as the Eldar are, they aren't really spiteful. She leaves it all in Gabriel's hands then, as he's shown to be so earnest, informing him that the Chaos forces have sequestered in Danan. The key itself requires unsealing before it can be used.
My lord, blood ravens approach from the south.
The Chaos Lord and Sorcerer have holed up in a desecrated temple to perform the necessary ritual. Bale is concerned of the approaching blood ravens. Sindri brushes it off.
Your assurances leave me cold, Sindri.
Events have proven my words true in every turn, my lord. We are not in danger.
Events have proven you fortunate, sorcerer. To what do you owe this present bout of nauseous optimism?
Interestingly, we see Bale's apparently worried about engaging the Space Marines. Really, he doesn't want to do so. Sindri assuages the Chaos Lord further, sharing that they have a new ally ready to turn on the Blood Ravens, to Bale's jubilation. He's so excited, he has their own scout executed.
Excellent. Prepare for what is to come, and dispose of this idiot.
Why? How have I failed?
You were stupid enough to personally deliver ill news to Lord Bale, and we cannot abide stupidity.
As the Blood Ravens storm the temple itself, the traitors in question are revealed to be heretical Imperial Guard. The heretics are at once given the Emperor's mercy, but their damage is done. The key is nowhere to be found. The Chaos Marines slipped away during the Guard's rebellion, with the key in tow. Now, in this dark place, the perverted ruins of a great monastery dedicated to what his very being is about, amidst the broken bodies of men whom under his watch had turned their backs on the Emperor, and unable to stop any of what has transpired, Captain Angelos finds himself wanting.
How could I not have seen this? How is it I am blind when it matters the most?
Are you referring to these traitorous guardsmen, or the destruction of your homeworld, Cyrene?
I should have seen the rot before it spread. Instead, I was blind for far too long. I put my own world to the torch. I killed with the Inquisition's eager sanction and watched too many innocents die in a holy firestorm. And yet, here I am again at yet another doorstep, with the executioner's blade in my very hand.
Blessed is the mind too small for doubt, Gabriel. Perhaps there is truth in there, for the both of us.
Once again, they're old friends, truly. We find now that the captain bears more responsibility than the ordering of the Exterminatus. It was his negligence which led to its necessity, and it's his belief he had the ability to prevent this dire outcome, instead of others having to pay the price for his own failings. His hatred of chaos is clear now. The ruinous powers have cost him greatly. Inquisitor Toth arrives, starting right out with another testing prod at the captain's true beliefs. Toth lays it straight, reminding the captain he would have been better served were he to just listen to his advice and left before things got this far. Gabriel, as we understand now, was unwilling to repeat the same mistake he had with Cyrene, so he pressed on. Gabriel demonstrates enough of his resolve to Toth that the Inquisitor finally shares with him what really everyone else at this point already knows, what the ultimate secret of Tartarus is: a lost relic of chaos, the Maledictum, a stone that imprisons a creature of the Immaterium itself, a demon, with an A. The relic was lost in ages past. While trapped, the demon could still affect people, as it already has begun to do so with the Traitor Guard. An Imperial team discovered one of the markers, and word got out to the based Marines. It buried all evidence of its existence until it could be found by the right people. The Chaos Forces arrived to claim the relic for themselves, while the Eldar, one-time guardians of the galaxy, warning against the ruinous powers, came to keep the stone contained. Though he still does not outwardly admit this, Gabriel's crusade is as much in his name as it is the duty he so adamantly clings to. Thing is, Cyrene's lost at this point. There's nothing that can be done to save it. In truth, the captain had realized this long ago. What the captain has found is another way to get what he desires, all while continuing his duty, avenging himself against chaos while righting the wrongs of his past. Destroy the corrupting power itself. It all fits so perfectly.
This is why I encouraged you to leave. Why I still encourage it.
You know I cannot do that. I will not shrink away in the face of evil.
I would do no less. Enough. Let us end this bickering and face our enemy united. Together, we have a better chance of finding and destroying the Maledictum.
Toth finally agrees that it's time to stand united against their enemies.
They are weak, terrified of the power that you alone are strong enough to control. It is yours. Yours for the taking. But they mean to destroy it, those small-minded fools. Think of the good you could do in the name of the Emperor. Think of the power you could wield. It is all yours for the taking. The Maledictum is mine.
Key in hand, Sindri works his dark powers on the Maledictum.
All power demands sacrifice. And pain. The universe rewards those willing to spill their life's blood for the promise of power. Sindri! What, my lord? The traitor Imperial Guardsmen have fallen. So quickly. I expected them to last a bit longer. Some of them have betrayed our position to the Blood Ravens. They're on their way here, now. Continue chanting. I shan't be long. The circumstances you mention are divine providence, my lord. Everything is as planned. Once I dispense with this last obstacle, you will have that which we have plotted and schemed to achieve. And if the Space Marine should arrive before Providence graces us, then we shall play the good hosts and indulge them in a bloody feast. At all costs, however, keep them from interfering. This is a delicate process that cannot well afford any more interruptions. And, might I advise you, throw everything at the Blood Ravens. Everything. Their every contribution in this matter is paramount, especially when we are so close.
Sindri's pulling stuff right out of his warp hole at this point, in front of Bale, practically mocking him while he's doing it. What's happening is divine providence, a divine intervention. Oh, but things are still somehow according to plan. Oh, I said the guard was supposed to hold out longer. Right in front of you? Don't worry about that. Ignore it. We'll get this done in time, I assure you. But, go ahead and toss everything at them to make sure we get this done in time. Or at all. Bale's unable to parse out a single doublespeak or immediate backtrack the sorcerer makes. Sindri sees this, has always seen it, and is pretty much rubbing his face in it, without Bale even being aware of it. Not that he can do anything about it, he's realized this much at least, as he scampers off without a word. Before, Bale would at least threaten Sindri, demonstrate some measure of control, of power, but he's realized now that his back's against the wall, he has no real plan at all, save to continue what he's only done so far, put his trust in Sindri, a sorcerer of chaos, I feel we should be reminded of, and hope that this just somehow works out in his favor. In the 40k world, there are more sound courses of action.
Now, where were we? Ah, yes. Power demands sacrifice.
Who wants to take bets now on how things will end for Bale? The Blood Ravens, with their remaining Imperial Guard, make preparations to assault the Chaos Forces. Toth takes control of the main offensive, while Gabriel goes around to try and get in deep the back door. Isidore makes his own arrangements.
Come with me. You have new orders. We know of a hidden way into the temple. Tell no one else. It is a surprise.
Sindri! Sindri!
Lord Bale. The ritual failed to break the protective seal guarding the stone. But then, I already anticipated it would not work. In fact, I counted on it. We require a larger sacrifice.
It is time. Leave him. How dare you, sorcerer!
My lord, never forget all power demands sacrifice.
Thank you for yours.
And here it was that the Sindri meme was born. The dialogue and camera work on this scene are fantastic. The sorcerer stands high, thoroughly enjoying every delicious word he speaks to the doomed Chaos Lord, while an important foreshadowing tidbit is nonchalantly dropped. The maledictum is unsealed, yet it is not Sindri who takes it. Stepping over the corpses of the very brothers whose glory he was to claim his prize for, Isidore takes the maledictum himself, and quite literally turns his back on his old friend. Recent events have left the captain quite pissed.
I would call him starved for vengeance, but my words are inadequate to encompass his fury.
The Inquisitor confesses he believed Gabriel to be the one treading down the ruinous path, not Isidore. Mostly because, and perhaps grim darkest of all, was that the exterminatus the captain ordered had claimed the lives of his own family, whom he couldn't, or perhaps didn't, save. Make of this what you may. Gabriel never confesses as much to himself, even once. Toth, for his part, views the captain's decisions, both then and now, as warranted.
I was wrong, Captain.
I think this is the closest anyone's ever come to making an apology in all of Warhammer. Isidore, in the company of new brothers, relishes the power in his hands. He holds it over the sorcerer's head for all of 5 seconds before Sindri, well, goes Sindri on him.
Stomach its gifts. And now, I will use its power to destroy you.
Lord Bale was likewise foolish in believing me defenseless, believing himself in control.
With a final twisted trick up his power sleeve, the sorcerer uses the very prize Isidore longed so fervently and longed for to worm his way into the unguarded mind.
Please!
The librarian's on his knees, begging for mercy. As his hour is nigh, Sindri is unable to contain his sublime epicness any longer, recounting the just-as-planned plan he had concocted, the long 4D chess game he alone had been playing. Isidore made for quite the good delivery boy. His purpose is served. Sindri muses over doing away with his last piece, though there's still some use the sorcerer could wring from him.
Attend to the captain's demise, if you are capable.
What makes you think that I will do your bidding?
You have little choice. Your captain is quite tenacious. You more than anyone know that. You will have to deal with him, and that benefits me. Oh, and thank you for delivering the maledictum.
You cannot abandon me now?
Oh, but I can, and I do. At least I leave you in good company. Now, prove yourself worthy. Go, spill the blood of those who were your brothers. Spill the blood. Blood for the blood god.
Ah, yeah. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Blood for the blood... Wait, what? Bro, you're a sorcerer. What's going on here? Oh, Alpha Legion. Well, never mind.
You are a fool, Gabriel. You know you are no match for me.
Of all my brothers, why you? You were stronger than this.
I am stronger than you ever imagined. I can feel the universe tremble at my approach. Even the gods know my name.
No one will remember you, traitor. I will see to that.
Pathetic. You were great once, before doubt addled your will. Before you rendered judgment on Cyrene, before you murdered the innocent and guilty, all in one stroke. You weak, sorry fool! How does it feel to have slain millions? To have betrayed your own family?
I betrayed no one. Innocents die so that humanity may live. I ended their suffering, as I will end yours.
You have beaten me. I cannot believe it. I was wrong, Gabriel. So wrong. I thought I was strong. Strong enough to control it. I wanted to use the power for good, for the Imperium. You must see that. You must give me the chance to make amends, to seek redemption.
If redemption is what you seek, then that is what I will give you. This is the fate of traitors. Remember this, and do not stray. If you do, I will be ready to render you the same service.
This is another pivotal story point that has more going on underneath it. Isidore is wholly full of himself, his loss to Sindri teaching not 1 ounce of humility. Isidore's anger at the captain, the verbal barbs he hurls at him, the desecration he took the time to visit upon his own person, effectively severing him from both chapter and faith. Isidore fell before Tartarus. The maledictum was just a key for his freedom. True to character, the captain just never saw this.
What are the Imperial Guard for if not to die for their Emperor?
Their Emperor, not ours. And not once is Isidore praying besides his close brother. Now, the captain's shown to be blind, not stupid. Take a listen to this.
I first met the librarian Isidore Achios when I was still a battle brother with no men at my command. Over 30 years in service, and I had not even attained veteran status. I had seen the power of the librarians and their neophytes, but none who wielded the kind of raw power, ability, and will that Isidore possessed. In battle, I discovered that these traits were matched only by his knowledge and wisdom.
Wise. This doesn't sound like the Isidore as we know. With the 30-year time frame we're given, Isidore's change of character had to be a recent happening. Cyrene was also a recent happening. He shares the weight Gabriel carries with him, aware of more than most, being the only one Gabriel has to confide with in the matter. Whatever happened there must have had an effect on Isidore as well. His resentment towards Gabriel is obvious. As Sindri goaded them towards their confrontation,
attend to the captain's demise, if you are capable.
What makes you think that I will do your bidding?
He did not say, "No, that's my friend, that's my brother." Nothing along such lines. It was a petulant, "Why should I do anything for you?" It wasn't the idea of killing his close friend that was the issue. In their fight, Isidore plays out a great deal of animosity, makes it a point that the captain's the betrayer. Look at the small details, the marring of his armor, spiteful and petty, yet a powerful statement that he was done with his brothers and their beliefs. With his seeking power elsewhere, the librarian has certainly lost faith with the Emperor too, became disillusioned with the Imperium, striving now for only himself. After the captain bests him, Isidore is back to begging. Well, not quite. Unlike before, he sounds truly accepting, repentful. May not have came to the realization himself, it was the faith he put in his own power which has now failed him that did it. Still, it's new understanding, and a willingness towards redeeming himself. Gabriel gives him the redemption he now seeks.
If redemption is what you seek, then that is what I will give you.
I didn't get the plasma pistol upgrade here. Everyone else will see this.
If redemption is what you seek, then that is what I will give you.
The deed done, the captain gives fair warning to any others the consequences of wavering, ever confident he made the right decision.
If you do, I will be ready to render you the same service. The planet of Tartarus is ravaged. Its population has fled or died under the foot of the Orc. Its cities are smashed and burning. Its very ground is irrevocably tainted with the blood of aliens, traitors, and cultists. There is nothing left. Nothing but blasphemous heathens and the mighty space marines who will destroy them. In this dark place, in this dark hour, we will stand against the enemies of the Emperor, and they will know that not even here on this desecrated infernal rock will we suffer the existence of the heretic. Not now. Not ever.
Absolutely baller. Time's running out. The world's about to fall into its own little eye of terror. With Bale and Isidore dead, and Orcamungus too, I guess. Who cares? Gabriel and Toth, alongside Maka and the Eldar, gather themselves to face Sindri. After all that's come to pass, the third captain resolves to see this through. Impressed with his will, Toth offers to him his demon hammer. Surprised, the captain accepts. Now not only able to see this through to the end, be the one who ends it. Gabriel briefly reflects on the old friend who had gone astray. The Inquisitor clues in on this. Toth's been thugging in the name of the Emperor for quite some time, has rendered judgment on more souls than Gabriel's exterminatus, so he lets the captain know what's up.
You are thinking of the traitor Isidore. I render judgment on more people than you can imagine, Captain. Trust me, you are not responsible for the failings or strengths of others. It is not our lot to test their purity. We merely dispense the Emperor's justice when they fail.
Maka finally arrives to do nothing unless you hand over all of your ruck and power to her. While Sindri, at long last, attains apotheosis, becoming Sindri 2.0.
Bear witness to my ascension!
Losing all of his psychic powers because he took a Mark of Corn. Doesn't even get wings. Who builds a DP this way? Find him, run him over with 4 land raiders just because you can. Claim the Maledictum. With Sindri gone and the remainder of the Alpha Legion destroyed, all that's left to deal with is the stone itself. The allies of convenience have a little bit of a disagreement here.
Ignore her, Captain. Destroy this stone before it leads others to ruin.
You know not what you do! We cannot allow this. Take this human down!
No!
Fool! You have damned us all.
Well done, Captain. Let us bid haste, brothers. The fleet is about to depart and leave us stranded.
Show yourself, demon. I will. Soon. Until then, go forth and spread word of my return.
I am not your herald, warp spawn.
I'm not. You released me.
No. I destroyed the stone.
Yes. And had you done so sooner, you might well have vanquished me. Instead, you contributed to my release with your every sacrifice.
Sacrifice? What sacrifice?
This planet was an altar, human. To the blood god, Korn. Sindri arranged the Orc invasion, knowing the Space Marines would come to end their threat. Every death was a sacrifice toward my release. And I must say, your contributions were many and magnificent. Isidore, Bale, and finally, Sindri himself. Without so many offerings, I would have remained trapped. I thank you. I will spare your life for now. Yes, free. And know I will soon come to claim you all.
This is 40k. The grim darkness of it all. The horror. The full weight of which I feel goes unappreciated, both within the genre and without. It's not the Demon Kulaba grimdark, it's the subtle, evocative kind. Why I find now a great piece of storytelling. The entire driving force of the plot was to prevent this eventuality. Understand a switcheroo isn't exactly new. It's that the ending was not predicated on just one bad decision. It was every step made. So right each one taken along the way was at the time, yet now, and a desire to atone for past mistakes, to get his vengeance and do his duty, this is what he has to show for it. The antagonistic force took the hero's journey and benefited from it itself. The Maledictum exists as more than just a MacGuffin. It's a physical manifestation of what it is Gabriel stands against in the world. The perverse power which has claimed so many lives had forced him to claim so many lives, ruined his close friend and robbed him of his family. As he was standing before it, something of the abstract forces he could truly hurt, there was only one thing he could do. Captain Angelos should be beside himself right now. He tells the demon to sod off in GW Warhammer terms.
Then come and find your judgment waiting. You have escaped captivity, only to face annihilation. I know you now.
Campy and cheesy, with a side of epic. Now, it's not that the journey was pointless for the hero. Gabriel himself developed and strengthened, came to terms with what he had done, losing a friend along the way, yet gaining new understanding, and renewing his resolve. There's a point to be made about the decisions Gabriel acted on. Disastrous as the outcome was, they weren't necessarily the wrong ones to make. The orcs had to be stopped, no question there. As for Bale, he's a Chaos Lord. He couldn't have been allowed to live, and way too dangerous to keep around. Isidore seems the most questionable death, certainly, yet he already killed his brothers to make a grab for power. and contrite as Isidore sounded, he was saying the wrong words. The mistake he saw he made was thinking himself strong enough to control the power, not in any of his actual actions taken or misdoings he made, nor that he was even wrong to pursue that power in the first place. Isidore left the door open for corruption's return. He had to go. As for destroying the stone itself, there's a lot of debate and theory crafting around this. The salient issue is that the stone's a prison for the demon, so destroying it would release it. Maka just didn't tell them this straight. Which I find is not really the crux of the matter. The conflict was a difference in how to resolve the situation. As far as the Imperials were concerned, the demon was already or close to release. Just look around. The key had been used on it, warp storms minutes away, the whole planet's falling into hell. To the Imperials, the only way to stop the demon at this point was to take the chance and try to destroy it. And it would have worked if they had gotten a hold of it sooner, but this is actually all rather a moot point, for it comes back to Gabriel's desire for revenge. Destroying this stone was his chance to truly strike back against the other side, wound chaos itself. There's also a point about self-doubt, not second-guessing oneself. It's alluded that the captain's hesitation played a part in Cyrene's fall. He wasn't willing to take action when it was needed. The captain was not about to let that happen again. Only this time, his lack of doubt caused the disaster.
No, I destroyed the stone.
Yes, and had you done so sooner, you might well have vanquished me. Instead, you contributed to my release with your every sacrifice.
Dawn of War is a bitter story. How righteous causes and justified actions still feed the antagonistic forces of the world, doing what are ultimately the wrong things for the right reasons, without truly any choice. And that is grimdark.